Have you ever wondered how these mega real estate funds claim such big returns when they're paying so much for a property and there are so many people involved? The answer lies in economies of scale. What does that mean exactly? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in today's Pillars of Real Estate. The old adage, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Well, that probability depends on the knowledge you have and how you act on it. So let's learn about economies of scale. So a really good opportunity doesn't pass you by. It's a microeconomics term that refers to the cost advantages that a company obtains due to their scale of operation, typically because costs can be spread over a large amount of goods. Have you ever heard of a baker's dozen? Who gets a better deal? A person that walks into a bakery and orders and pays $1 for one pastelito? Or the person that orders and pays $12 for a dozen and walks away with 13 pastelitos? The person that paid $12 obviously paid more, but by the baker giving that person a 13th pastelito, when you break it down, cost per unit, the person that received the baker's dozen got a better deal. Believe it or not, the same thing happens in real estate. Who do you think is going to pay more for a renovation? The guy that's looking to fix up a single family home, or the person that's fixing up a 100-unit multifamily complex? Well, when broken down per unit cost, the person doing a massive scale operation is always going to get a better deal. But it doesn't stop there. You don't only get the advantages of spreading the cost of goods around, you also get to scale by having a good relationship with Cousin Irv. Now, who's Cousin Irv? Well, you see, everyone, whether you like it or not, has a relationship with Grumpy Uncle Sam. Some of you are on his good side, and unfortunately, others of you are on his bad side. When you're involved in real estate, luckily, you're on his good side, and that comes with benefits. He even allows his son Irv to hang out with you. Quick 101. When analyzing a commercial income producing property, the investor should always take into account Cousin Irv. IRV is an acronym with I standing for income, or in this case, net operating income, R for rate, in this case, capitalization rate, or cap rate for short, and V is for value. By having two of these, you can always find the third, with the basic formula being I divided by R equals V, I divided by V equals R, or R multiplied by V equals I. For example, if a stabilized property has a net operating income of $100,000 and the market capitalization rate is 5%, the market value of the property will be around $2 million. How do we know that? Irv told us so. He said $100,000 of income divided by 5% cap rate equals $2 million. What Cousin Irv is basically telling you is that in a market with a 5% cap rate, an investor would be willing to pay $2 million in cash to receive $100,000 of income in that first year of owning that property. So this is the basic formula. Obviously, on a large transaction, there's a lot more factors that are to be considered. Has the property been mismanaged? Are current rents below market rates? Can we renovate to increase rents? Does the property have key demographics? Are the bones of the property solid? If you can find these answers to these questions, then a savvy fund manager knows how much money can be put into a property and what can be done to reasonably increase the value of that property to produce a certain return for them and, of course, their investors. This strategy is called forced appreciation. That's when the value of a property is driven up by the investor adding value. This can be done because the value of a commercial building is mainly dictated by, you guessed it, Cousin Irv, and particularly that I in Irv. That's why you can find a property sold for $15 million and a next door property, similar property, with the same number of units valued at $10 million. The difference between the two? It's simple. The amount of income they're producing. If you have researched the area and understand tenants' behaviors in that market, you can buy that $10 million building, make some adjustments that align with the reasons tenants are paying higher rents in that particular market. And if you're able to produce the same amount of income as the building next door, now this part is important, during a period of time that the market capitalization rate has not changed, then you have just forced up the value of that building to $15 million. Congratulations. Now, obviously, this is a lot easier said than done, and there's a lot of moving pieces that we can discuss in more details in the near future. But the point is to understand the concept so you can knowledgeably analyze an opportunity and make an educated decision on whether it's too good to be true or not. Let me give you one quick example to show you why understanding economies of scale and having a good working relationship with Cousin Irv is so important when making an investment decision. Let's suppose that there's a 200 unit building for sale for $10 million in a market with a capitalization rate of 5%. This building has been owned by the same entity for over 10 years. The sellers have not kept up with the market rents as they have high occupancies, are comfortable with their current cash flow, and rather not risk raising rates and having a long-time tenant leave. Who can blame them? But as a buyer, you're looking for what the market is telling you. And the market is indicating that you can increase rents $300 per every unit that you make minor renovations to. It's also telling you that similar units that have not been renovated are going for $105 more than what the current owner is renting them for. Would an increase in value of over $1 million by simply raising rents $50 to only half the units be considered too good to be true? Well, what would Cousin Irv say?
I love collecting banknotes. It reminds me of going to the bank and just finding a bunch of cool stuff. I love collecting currency.
Actually, what he would say is, if it was just one unit, yes. But when taking into account economies of scale, no, this is not too good to be true. This is good because it's true. And here's the math to prove it. Half of 200 units is 100 units. 100 multiplied by $50 per unit is $5,000 of additional monthly income. A typical tenant represents an annual income, so we'll multiply that $5,000 by 12 months, and that gives us $60,000. Cousin Irv takes that $60,000 and divides it by 5% market cap rate, and voila, we have an increased valuation of over $1 million.
$1 million.
1.2 to be exact. Now remember, this was only for half the units. If you were to bring up all 200 units to market rate, which would be an increase of only $105 per unit, that would equate to a rise of value of over $5 million. And there you have it. You just turned a $10 million property into a $15 million beauty. This, of course, does not include a whole list of different strategies you can combine to maximize returns, but at least now you understand economies of scale. Hope you found this informative. To find more about real estate, or if you would like to know how to take advantage of economies of scale, go to pillarsofrealestate.com and look over the information we have there, and be on the lookout for my book, The 4 Pillars of Real Estate. If you've enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. By the way, if you don't agree with Cousin Irv and you feel this is too good to be true, leave a comment below. I'll love to know why. Till next time, make it a prosperous day.